Hello everyone, my name is Val Kidd, and for our reflection I'm speaking to you today from my mother's lovely sheltered housing in Forfar. At the start of COVID-19, I moved in with my mother, who'll soon be 99, to look after her. Some time ago I joined the Forfar East and Old Church, and to help my brother Bob, whom some of you know, increase the church choir members. I joined that too. I enjoy being part of this community. A warm welcome to this reflection to our friends everywhere, including in Switzerland and in Hungary, Jonapot. I'd like you to think about mission. Not everyone is clear about what mission means. It happens to come from the Latin word to send. And when I think about missionaries, the first thing that comes to mind is the Scot David Livingstone, sent to darkest Africa by the London Missionary Society in 1840. I enjoy learning about social history. Last week, I watched BBC One's genealogy programme, Who Do You Think You Are?, featuring identical twins Chris and Xand van Tulleken. They're both doctors, and they present flagship TV documentaries on themes like migrant crisis, male suicide, and Chris often uses his own body for experiments like how to lose weight well. Chris and Xand were thrilled to learn, no surprise with a Dutch surname, that they were descended from Jan van Tulleken Hogenhoek, an illustrious Dutch rear admiral who helped the British Navy in the 18th century. What's more, Jan was awarded a noble title, Jonkheer, a bit like a squire, a title the twins are pleased to have also inherited. So far so good. However, they then learnt about Jan's father Ambrosius. He was a wealthy slave trader in the Dutch West Indies, with plantations in Demerara, like many English and Scottish planters. Chris and Xand's reactions were horror and disgust. As you know, in recent years, angry people have been knocking down statues of former statesmen involved in the slave trade. But the kindly, older West Indian archivist, himself a descendant of slaves, who was explaining the history to the twins, said, "Don't beat yourself up about this. It's part of our history. We can't change it, but we can certainly learn from it and explain it to others so we don't ever repeat some of what happened in the colonies." That got me thinking about missionaries, sent by many of Europe's imperial powers like Germany, France, Belgium and Britain to their colonies in Africa, India and China. Sent there to convert indigenous populations, to save and enlighten them. We know that Europeans' aims were economic exploitation and glory, and achieving those aims was easier if the natives were pacified by missionaries and settlers, converting them to Christianity. A month ago, I was fortunate to be part of a Forfar East and Old visit to the church we are twinned with in Dubendorf, near Zurich. Our friends in Switzerland made the visit so memorable. One especially interesting trip during our stay was to the mission house in Basel. Now, some of the group may have wondered, why are we going to a mission house? Well, I certainly learned a great deal about what mission means today. Not only for me and my family, but how mission is part of the work people are doing by reaching out to others in their community, locally, nationally, and internationally. The work at Basel is now called Mission 21. And it was interesting to learn about the history of missionaries 200 years ago. The lovely archivist Andrea in the mission's basement told us that the Swiss had initially partnered with the Anglican Church, but finding that too rigid, they split to follow more ambitious theology training. It was good to hear they enjoyed working with the Church of Scotland missionaries, who were more tolerant. At a time when devout members of Basel's wealthy upper middle classes and Lutherans in southern Germany faced uncertainties about the Napoleonic Wars, and being so close to France, even fearing Napoleon would take over Basel, they decided they could do mission work themselves and founded the mission house in 1815. They formed a strategic joint venture to train missionaries for Protestant colonial powers and started sending missionaries to the Gold Coast, now Ghana, to improve the harsh conditions of child and slave labor and raise the role of native women. It was good to hear that these women were more open to Christianity than men. It gave them employment opportunities and status they'd never had. Some went on to become teachers, farmers, and missionaries. I was surprised to learn that the studies to become a missionary took 6 years. The young men considered suitable were Swiss or German farmers' sons who were strong and used to working on the land. As the oldest son would inherit the farm, there were few job opportunities for sons number 2, 3, or 4. Becoming a missionary, travelling to foreign shores, would earn them respect and prestige in their home country. The students had a very wide-ranging curriculum at the mission house. Theology, of course, languages, Hebrew, Latin, Greek, but also English, Dutch, because of the Dutch East Indies, and local dialects or languages of the countries where they were sent. Horticulture and botany. You can still see the lovely peaceful gardens at Mission 21, used today by families to plant herbs and vegetables. Rhetoric and writing. Important subjects because funders and governments, just like today, insisted on detailed reports about how the mission's projects, schools and farms were doing. Technical drawing, map making, geography, calligraphy, basic medicine, anatomy, surgery, music, singing, and later photography, because funders wanted to actually see what the mission and the natives looked like. Photos were initially black and white. Andrea showed us the paint boxes that missionaries took with them to colour in the photos. She told us that people whose grandfathers lived in the colonies are keen to visit the archives in Basel now and learn more about that history. This in turn is a great source of knowledge for the archivists. And some descendants laugh when they see the coloured-in photos because the missionaries have painted the leaves blue or the clothes a strange shade of pink. After their studies, the missionaries would suddenly be told they were being sent to Africa or China, a journey of 3 months. Often they didn't even have time or couldn't afford to travel home to say goodbye to their families. And letters to and from home also took 3 months. These men usually stayed with the mission all their lives. Thank goodness mission and being a missionary is no longer like that. If you look up the Basel Mission 21 website, you can see the photos and read about their support for projects in Asia and Africa. They're enabling disadvantaged people, especially smallholder families, to eat healthily, sustainably secure their livelihoods, and live a life in dignity. That is what mission is all about. Thank you.